So here's the latest news on what's happening with the THUD Appropriations Committee. If you don't remember what the difference is between appropriations and the reconciliation process, go back to my prior lives. But essentially, this is why this is important, right? Now that that committee, right, the appropriations committee, they're the ones that decide how much to spend. Now that they put this out there, this actually rejects a lot of the cuts that President Trump originally requested in his White House budget. Now, this is kind of weird because you were expecting everybody to sort of fall in line, but this is not the case. Reconciliation, you can typically tell them, like, hey, this is your cap, and then everybody has to figure it out. But appropriations at the end of the day are the ones that decide where they spend, especially discretionary funding, which includes HUD. Now, if you remember what we talked about here, the budget breakdown. Last week we talked about just exactly how much was being cut on each part. Now, project-based rent assistance pretty flat, all things considered. Housing programs for the elderly increased a little bit, again, relatively flat. But the biggest items was that CDBG was level funded, interesting. But the home partnership, the home funds have essentially been deleted. So home funds were typically sort of additional financing for your capital stack, especially for some of your tax credit deals. Now that it's not there, well, guess what? That's a concern. Now, for tenant-based rental assistance, which includes the Section 8 voucher or housing choice voucher program, that decreased by 780 million. Now, you could argue that's relatively flat, but again, I think we thought about what the implications were. Based off of this, I would not underwrite with rent appreciation for your Section 8 rental properties. It's going to be really, really hard for you to get rental increases, especially if there is no budget in there for additional increases. So just be very, very mindful of this. So now what's next? What's next is you got to pay attention to what's happening tomorrow. Okay. Tomorrow, this now goes to the Senate committee. The Senate appropriations, they're going to figure out, like, okay, this is our version of how much we want to spend on housing. And then you're going to see sort of people kind of go back and forth. And this is going to be really interesting. So pay very close attention to what happens tomorrow on the Senate side to see what areas of contention are there. This is going to be really, really important. And I wonder if I can get the link for it. If I find a link, I'm going to link it down below. THUD markup, boom. Here's the Senate. All right, I'm going to show up for this. So this is going to be the Senate side. So this will cover at 9:30 a.m. how they go through on the Senate side on what the budget funding looks like on their end. So this is going to be good. I'll plug this into the YouTube video. So pay attention to what they talk about in the Senate side. And there's big contentions. If you see any more cuts, it will probably come from this conversation, especially as what it might affect on the Section 8 side. So pay attention. All right. Hope you all have an amazing Wednesday. Thanks for joining me on the live. I know this was quick, but I really want to make sure that you guys stayed on top of this so that you can really have as much information as soon as possible, because that will drive how you make certain decisions going forward for your portfolio. Again, it's not investment advice, not soliciting any investments on this call, just simply showing you how to stay on top of what's happening, because these have huge implications on Section 8 investors and affordable housing developers all across the country. All right, see you all tomorrow.